Hey guys, so today we're starting our new unit. Our new unit has to do with equations of lines and angles. So to start off, we're going to talk about the relationship between two lines and their equations. So if you look at the first example, the first thing you have to be able to do is to solve for y. You have to be able to get y by itself. So this is a skill from Algebra 1 that I just want to go over. So if I'm going to get y by itself here, the first thing I'm going to do is find y, which is right here. To get y by itself, I'm going to move that 12, so I'm going to do the opposite of adding, which is subtracting. You get 3y equals, always put your x's and then the number. Your last step here is to get y by itself. So what I'm going to do is divide by 3, because it's 3y, so I divide by it on every single one, and you get y equals 6 divided by 3 is 2. Negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4. And that's the first one. For the second one, again, I want to get y by itself, so you can see it's right here. I first need to move the farthest thing, so I need to subtract 7x to the other side. That gives you 2y equals negative 7x plus 11. I always do x's, then numbers. Again, there's a number in front here, so to get rid of it, you're going to divide by whatever number that is across everything. When I divide 2 and 2, they cancel. I'm left with a y. Negative 7 divided by 2 is a decimal. I'm going to look, can I simplify this fraction? No, so I'm just going to leave it. Same thing with 11 halves. I can't simplify it, so I'm just going to leave it. I always leave my answers here as fractions. I do not like to see decimals. Okay, so the last one is for you to try. I want you to get y by itself. What does y equal? Okay, hopefully you started off with subtracting 2x on both sides. You'd get negative y, because there's a negative in front, equals negative 2x plus 15. Now think of this negative as a negative 1. To get rid of it, you have to divide by everything by negative 1. So negative over negative cancel. You're left with y equals negative 2 divided by negative 1 is positive 2x. Positive 15 divided by negative 1 is negative 15. And that is your final answer. So again, you have to be able to get y by itself in order to start this off. Okay, so those are the equations. Let's slide down to actually part of the lesson of what else you need to know. So I said we were talking about equations of lines. So if you look, here's the equation of a line. Y equals mx plus b is the equation. But you need to know their parts. So m, the number in front of x, is always going to be the slope. Also think of it as rise over run. B, the number adding, is your y-intercept. It's also known as where the y-axis crosses, so it crosses y. So first thing you need to be able to do is graph these. So again, this is from Algebra 1, being able to graph an equation of a line. There's a couple of different ways you could do this. One way is using your calculator. So first thing you're going to do is grab your calculator. It's y equals, so you're going to go to y equals, and you're going to type in the equation. To get that fraction, you're going to hit alpha y equals, enter, and it's going to give you that little fraction. You can put negative 3 over 2n x plus 7. So again, I just typed the equation in just the way I see it. And I'm going to go to the table. Well, that's the graph. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like. So I'm going to hit second table. Now I'm going to plot the points that are even, that are not fractions. So 2, 4, 4, 1, and 6, negative 2. So I'm going to do that in blue. I got right 1, 2, 3, 4, up 1. I forgot the rest. So I know 4, 1, 2, 4. So that's right 2, up 4, and 6, negative 1. Or was it 6, negative 2? 6, negative 2. So it's easier when you actually have your calculator next to you. With me, a little bit harder because I'm doing this here. Okay, so what you're going to do is connect those with the straightest line possible. And you're going to label it y equals negative 3 halves x plus 7. Okay, so I don't really like using the calculator because it's easier to graph lines using the equation. So I told you this b is the y crosses the y-axis. So I'm going to go on the y-axis, and it was negative 1. So I'm going to plot a point at negative 1. From here, your slope is your rise over your run. So I'm rising negative 3. So that means I go down 1, 2, 3, and always count right, that bottom number, right 2, plot a point. So I'm going to count down 1, 2, 3, right 2, plot a point. And I can do that until I run out of graph space. Now connect them through. Add arrows to the end. You always should have arrows for lines. And you get y equals negative 3 halves x minus 1. I think it's way faster to graph it that way than using your calculator, but if you'd rather use your calculator, you're more than welcome. So the question asks is, are these lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Look at the picture. These two lines are not crossing. So the lines that do not cross are parallel. So they are parallel because they never, now instead of putting cross, you're going to put the word intersect. That means the same thing as cross, but it's a math term. Okay, there's something else that we also talked about when we talked about parallel lines in the beginning of the year. If you look here, the number in front of the x for both of these equations are the same. That number is your m, also known as your slope. So when will two lines be parallel? When they have the same slope. So the same number in front of the x or same slope. All right, so we're going to do it again. We're going to graph these guys. I'm not going to use the calculator. I'm going to use what I did before. So I'm going to plot this one in red. So I'm going to go to negative 6, your b value. And now my rise is 2, my run is 3. So 2 is positive, so I'm going to count up 2. And then write 1, 2, 3, plot a point. Up 2, write 1, 2, 3, plot a point. Up 2, write 1, 2, 3, plot a point. How many points am I graphing? As many as you think you need. On this case, I go until I pretty much run out of the graph. Make sure you label it though. Y equals 2/3 x minus 6. Okay, I'm going to do this guy in blue. So I'm going to start with the 4. So I'm going to go up 4 on the y, plot a point. Now this negative goes with the 3. So that is negative 3 over 2. So my rise is negative, so I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, right 2, plot a point. Down 1, 2, 3, right 2, plot a point. Down 1, 2, 3, right 2, plot a point. At that point, I'm going to connect. Again, make sure your lines have arrows at the end because they are lines go on forever. And make sure you label your work. Okay. So if you look at these two lines, they cross. And they even cross really nicely that they form a 90-degree angle. So lines that intersect and form a 90-degree angle that they do both are perpendicular lines. So these are perpendicular because they intersect forming a 90-degree. Instead of writing the word angle, I'm going to use the symbol. That means angle. So, more importantly, how do I know these two are perpendicular? Again, if you check out their slopes, I got 2 over 3, negative 3 over 2. Those are called negative reciprocal slopes. So they are flipped and different signs. Okay, so that's how you know that they are perpendicular. So you can do this without graphing, just by looking at the equation. But remember, when you're just looking at the equation, in order to compare, they both need to be in y equals mx plus b. So they both have to say that. So they have to be y equals is how I think of it, get y by itself. So if you look at number 3, I have this equation. I have y minus 1. That means y is not by itself. So I'm going to move that minus 1 by doing the opposite and adding it to the other side. I cannot add a negative 2x and a 1. So I'm just going to write them next to each other. Now I'm going to look at this equation. Again, the y is not by itself. There's a number in front. When there's a number in front, you divide everything by that number. You get y equals negative 2x plus 3. So now you're going to look at the numbers in front of x. So I have a negative 2 and a negative 2. They have the same slope. So are these parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Hopefully you said parallel. Same slope, parallel. All right, so let's go to the next one. Again, look, there's a number in front of y. It's right next to it, so I'm going to divide everything by that number. I'll get y equals, I can't divide 1 and negative 3, so I'm just going to leave it. I can divide 6 and negative 3, and I get negative 2. Over here, I have y plus 5, so I'm going to subtract 5. I get y equals 3x minus 5. Again, look at the numbers in front of the x, your slope, that's what's going to answer the question if they're parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Keep in mind, 3 can be written as 3 over 1, and you have 1 over negative 3. So these are flipped with different signs. What kind of slope are negative reciprocal slopes? Hopefully you said perpendicular. Again, they're flipped and change signs. All right, last one at the bottom here. Number 5. Gonna get y by itself. First thing I'm gonna do is move the farther part, and I'm gonna do the opposite and add it. When you rewrite this, you get 2y, it's positive, so I'm not putting any sign there, equals, put the x's first, then the number. There's still a number right in front of y, so I'll divide by 2, everything, and you get y equals 3 halves x plus 1. Keep in mind, if it's a fraction, I leave it, I do not change it. Over here, I have to do the same thing. So I need to move the number all the way out here. It's positive, so the opposite is to subtract it. So here, there's a negative in front. So I get negative 3y equals, put the 2x, so negative 2x first, plus 3. There's still a number directly in front of the y, so I'm going to divide by that number everywhere. Negative 3 over 3 cancel. I'm left with y equals a negative divided by a negative is a positive 2/3 x. Positive divided by negative 3 is a negative 1. And again, I'm looking at the numbers in front. So I have 3 halves here and 2/3 here. So those are flipped. What kind of slopes are flipped? Hopefully you said neither. To be perpendicular, one of these has to be negative. They're both positive, so it's neither. Look here, it was negative. That's the difference. Okay, guys, so that's everything for today. We'll go over this tomorrow. I'll see you then. Bye.